Hello everyone. Excuse me. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, or good evening. I hope you're all doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about money, finance. So, when I was growing up, I was never really taught about money. We never had conversations about money in terms of how to handle money, other than spending it. If you ever come across money, any amount of money, how to manage it, So we never talked about saving, um, saving money, how to spend, even with saving, what you're saving for. So nothing like that. So financial topics were never, I was never sat down and spoken to or taught about how to handle money, how to kind of have a relationship with money, right? Because I was young, right? And obviously I didn't have my own money. I didn't earn money. I was young. I couldn't earn money because I was young, and so even as I got older, when I became a teenager, obviously I still didn't have my own money because I didn't work. I didn't have my own money. So again, the topic of talking to me about money, teaching me what money is all about, how to earn it, how to use it, how to spend it, how to save. Nothing like that. There was never such a topic. I was never taught. So the way I looked at money, I actually never thought of money, to be honest. I never thought of money until, no, I did think about money because I wanted to buy things for myself. Because I wanted obviously this pair of shoes, this outfit, this makeup, and so on. So when I think about money, all I'm thinking is spending it. Things that I want to buy for myself. That's all. So for me, it was like you get money, you work, you earn your money, then you spend it. This is when I was young, like through my teenage years. So I didn't get my first money until I was 17 years old, and 17 to 18 years old. So I went to college at around that age, 17. From the age of 17, I started college in UK, and you normally spend 2 years in college, called A level. Yeah, A level. So you spend two years in college doing A level, and during that time when I was in college, from the age of 17, they used to pay students back then very small amount of money, but you get paid for attending classes. They used to call it EMA. This is in the UK. So every week they'll give us a small amount of money for good attendance, and that was the first money that I've ever, I didn't make it, but that's the first money I've ever had to my name. I never had a job before that. I didn't work anywhere before 17, I think. Yeah, so I just obviously lived at home and was taken care of financially. I'd never had money of my own until I was 17 when I started college, A levels in UK. So the first time in my life when I ever had money of my own. Of course, when I was at home, I used to get spending money, like pocket money. If I needed to go to buy clothes and stuff like that. My family will give me money, and I'll go and I buy those things, and that's about it. But this time, college, they would pay me. They'll pay every student who was in college if you had good attendance. Every week you get a little bit of money, right? Very little, not much. But at least you get something every week. So that was the first time I've ever had money given to me, no, apart from my family. Um, and it felt really good. It felt really good. That first week I received that little bit of money. Um, I was happy. I couldn't believe it. Like I getting money just for going to school. Like I'm supposed to go to school. Why am I getting paid? So I was really happy to get that little. It was only like, was it? I can't remember how much it was, but it's very little. So I was very happy, and so I was thinking, now I have this money, right? I'm 17 years old, and what do I do? What do I do? A 17-year-old, first time getting money, that is mine and mine only. What do I do? Like I said, I've never been taught about investment. I've never been taught about saving, and even saving for what? Never been taught about budgeting, anything like that, anything financial, nothing. The only thing I knew, if I have money or if anyone has money, go spend, buy whatever, That's it, spending. So when I go at the age of 17, when I got that little money from college, school, the only thing that was running in my head, the only thoughts that were running in my head, was, what do I want to buy? No, I didn't think of saving it. I didn't think of investing it. I didn't think of budgeting it. I didn't think of any of those thoughts. Well, the only thoughts in my head was spending. What do I want to buy? What do I want? So I started thinking, oh, I want these clothes. I want those shoes. I want those earrings. Just whatever I wanted to buy. So I start planning that money on what I'm gonna spend it on, and that's what I did. Every single week when we get that money, I would just go and spend. That's all I knew. Like, what else am I gonna do? I can't do what I don't know. Yeah, that's all I knew, spending, right? And throughout, so I only spent 2 years in that college, and that's what I did with that money they used to give me. And then after those 2 years, I went to university for 3 years, and there I studied biochemistry, a degree in science, and that was for 3 years. It was supposed to be for 4 years, but with a sandwich degree, 4 years because of work placement. I was supposed to take placement, 1 year of work placement, and then carry on. So then that would make 4 years. But I missed that placement time, and this is another topic of a topic of another day or another time. But anyway, 4 years of university turned into 3 years. And during those 3 years in UK, being a home student, you would get paid, especially if you live away from home. Depending on your family circumstances, they help a little bit. So they do, away students, so they help. It just depends on your income and all that. Uh, um, so I got paid a little bit, not much, just like to help me with living costs. Just to cover a few living costs. Because I was living in London, I went far away from home, and I went to London to study, which was far away from where I lived. And obviously in London, life is very expensive. Life is expensive everywhere in UK, but everything is even more expensive. So I got a bit of help from the government to help me with living costs. And the university would give bursaries to students and stuff like that. So that's a little bit more money that I was receiving to help me survive, because I was studying full time as well. I was lucky to get that little bit of support, and I'm grateful for that. But again, even though I was living now on my own, far away from home, that's where it hit me. That mentality of spending when you have money, it suddenly didn't make sense to me, because now I had to pay for my own bills. So I was renting a place to stay closer to my university. So I all of a sudden I realized I have to pay bills now. I have to pay rent, bills, transport, food. I have to clothe myself. I have to any expenses that I needed to get done. I had to do it myself by myself, because now I'm living away from home. While I lived at home, I never worked, so I didn't have to contribute financially at all, even if I wanted to. And so I didn't really know what paying rent meant or what it was, paying bills. I didn't understand any of that. I didn't know you know what it took to hold a house together, to support yourself, to financially support yourself. I didn't understand what any of that meant. All I knew, that little money I got from being in college, I spent it all on myself, just buying things I wanted. So now at university. Now I'm at a university far away from home. I'm getting a little bit of support from the government, UK government, and I'm grateful for that. And I have bills to pay, I have rent to pay, I have, transport and food and clothes and any books I needed to buy to help me with my, university studies and stuff like that. So now I start thinking, what? Obviously, I can't just spend the little money I have to budget it. That's when I start learning how to budget, because I realized, because I was like 18 years old back then, when I went to university, and yet I was 18 years old, and now I realized I have to pay my rent, okay, to have this place, because I arranged for my own place. I didn't know I was responsible at that age, 18. I didn't know I was that responsible, and I went to study far away from home. And again, I will, in a different video next time, I'll talk about my journey of, when I went to university, and how I did it, and where I studied, and the whole, there's more to talk about on that side of things, but that's the next video. But this one is just about finance. So when I got my place close to my university, and I was happy that the place that I rented was closer to my university, which meant it would be easier for me to get to university and back without having to get to university late and stuff like that. So I just liked it because it was easier for me. They rented it to me. I had to pay deposits, and then I had to pay rent every month. And it hit me thinking, well, if I start spending this little bit of money I have now, like I used to spend, I literally will have no place. This place I'm living, they'll kick me out, because if I don't pay rent, I can't live. I have no right to live there, right? They rightfully kick me out, and then where will I live? So that's when I realized I have to budget. That's the only way. I have to start budgeting. And so I didn't even know what budgeting meant. That word budgeting, what was that? I didn't know what it meant, but I was doing it without knowing what it was. Because to me, I was like, okay, first I have to pay rent because I need a place to live. So that's very important to me. Then I have to pay for my food, my bills, because I need to use electricity. I need my laptop for university. So I need electricity. I need to use that. I need water. I need gas. I need all the bills that I need to pay for. I was like, I need those things. So I have to pay for all those things, right? So next, I realized other than paying rent and bills, I need food. So I've got to eat, or else I'll starve. So I need to set money aside, a budget aside for my food, for my weekly shopping and stuff like that. And then so now I'm doing a math. So I'm calculating. So this is my total amount of money that I've received for this month. Now I'm thinking, okay, this is how much rent I'll pay for this month. This is how much bills I'll pay for this month. This is how much food. I was estimating how much food I would need for a month. One person, right? How much food I'll need for a month, right? And then I thought, okay, so now I need transfer because I need to be able to get to university and back. Now living in London, you got to, obviously it was completely different way of traveling. The transport system there was completely different to where I lived before London. And that was my first time living in London ever. So I had to learn how the transport system works in London. And so I finally understood it. And then I knew how much I would pay every month for my transport. And then, so that put that budget aside from the total. And then I was like, those are the main things really. What else? I have a place to stay. I can pay for it. I can cover that. I have sorted bills out so I can pay for bills. I've got my food sorted and my transport. So I was thinking, what else do I need? So because I had quite a bit of money left after that. And I was like, okay, I don't really need anything else. The rest is just things that I want. Because for books, I was like, okay, do I go buy books? And I was thinking books are too expensive. So when I go to the shop, to these bookstores, and I'm trying to buy books, even like online, I would look at the prices. I'm like, too much. That's too much. Can't afford it. Because I was now in this mode of don't spend. You don't have money, so don't spend. Like if you have to spend, it has to be because you really have to. It's a need, not a want. So I was like, what? We have a library at university, right? So maybe let's go into that library and see what I can get, right? And if I can't get a certain book in my university library, I could definitely go to a different library, because you can get like a library card. Being a student, you can just get library card and go to different libraries and see what books you can borrow, and then just look after them. Once you borrow them, look after them, use them for whatever reason, if it's to do your coursework, assignments, even revise for exams or tests. Look after them and then return them when you're supposed to return them. So I don't really have to buy that many books. Although there are certain books you really have to buy if you need them, because the professor would, your university lecturers will give you, say, these are the books, the recommend books that you're supposed to read. And some of them you can't find them, so you have no choice but to buy, right? But that would have to be like last resort. Okay. So for books, I stayed away from buying books. Like I don't think I ever bought a book. So I just use the library, university library, and found as many books as I could find to help me, so I didn't have to buy. And so I was like, okay, so that's covered. And I had my laptop already that was already bought by my family for me, so thanks to them. And then I was like, okay, that's it then. Oh, okay. Now clothes, laundry. Now oh my gosh, I had to pay for my clothes to be washed. Where I lived, we had a laundry room where you can wash your clothes, you can dry your clothes, you can iron your clothes, but you had to pay for every single one of those services. You had to pay to wash your clothes. You have to pay to to dry your clothes. You couldn't just like dry them outside. You have to put them in a air dryer, tumble dryer, and so they can be dried, and then iron them. And I was like, I have to pay. So 3 different services I have to pay for every time I need to wash my clothes. I have to pay for all these 3 different services. But that's just how things were set up where I lived. I was like, I can't be doing this, because how many times in a month will I need to wash my clothes? That could be multiple times. And that will cost me a lot. So I was like, I need to think of ways to cut costs, because I can't afford this. It's gonna drain all my money, and I don't have any backup money. So I need to think of ways. So what I was doing was found a way. I washed them because I had to wash my clothes. I would pay to wash my clothes, but when it comes to drying them, I would just dry them outside, in the wash line. No one else was doing that. I don't know why no one else was doing that. Everyone else was paying for the clothes to be dried in a tumble dryer, in a machine. But I just had to put my clothes outside so they can dry. It was never a problem. No one saw it as a problem. Just put a wash line, and the sun dried it. Apart from winter, when there's no sun, so I couldn't dry my clothes during winter time. So that was an expensive month for me. Those few months, not just 1 month, because winter can go on for a few months. So those were expensive months for me, because I had to pay for my clothes to be dried, or I would dry them in my room. So once they're washed, because most of the water would have been sucked out of the clothes after washing, if I didn't have any money that month to pay for drying my clothes, I would just take them out of the washing machine, and I will spread them across my room and let them to dry. Leave them for a few days until they dry, and then I'll just iron them myself instead of paying for the clothes to be ironed, because I'm already paying for electricity. So I just use my own iron, and I'll iron my own clothes instead of paying extra for them to be ironed. So that's how I ended up budgeting. And then other things like just buying my clothes if I need new clothes, new shoes, and all those other expenses girls need. I managed to cover those. So the way I did it, and that's how I learned how to budget. Although I didn't know what budgeting meant, well, the word budgeting meant, I quickly had to grow up. And I wanted that. I wanted to grow up. I wanted to learn responsibilities. So that's where, at university, that's where I learned how to budget. Literally. So my mindset shifted from spend, you get money, spend it, 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 to you get money, budget it. And budget it in a way that you put things you list things according to priorities. So you got a list, and number one is the most important thing. It's a priority, it's a need, and it must be done, it must be paid for. And for me, that was rent. You need a place to live. That's like a priority, even before food. That was a priority before food. Can you imagine that? Because you can eat, but if you don't have a place to sleep and stay, then you're still in trouble. And you can have a place, but then you starve. But anyway, never mind. But so yeah, that's how I learned how to budget in terms of priority. Make a list of things you need to pay for, but that list has to be according to number 1 priority, number 2 priority, and so on. The priorities go down. Okay, so however many things you need to pay for, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, God knows how many you need to pay for, but that one is the number 1 priority, and then number 2 priority, and so on. That's how I came up with it with my own head. No one taught me that. I didn't read it anywhere. I just used my common sense. To budget like that. And up until that age, so I was 18, 19, 20. So 3 years at uni, and that's just how I lived my life. But up until that age, 20, the age of 20, I didn't know what the word mortgage meant. Mortgage. For me, all I knew was once I've written my list of my spending list of things I need to spend for, and I put them into priority, and the amount of money I have to spend on all those things according to the priorities, I make sure that money can cover those things, and I'll make sure and once all those things are covered, are paid for, any extra I have, if I have any extra money, that extra will go into my wants, things that I want to get. Like, what do I want? I wouldn't save it. I didn't even think. I actually started thinking about saving, but I didn't know what I was saving for. I was thinking, so I have this extra money left at the end of this month after paying for all my needs and needs and needs. Now, this extra money, I was thinking, okay, I'll save a little bit of that, but I wouldn't know what I was saving for. And then anything else after that, that little extra money, I would then spend it on myself, whatever I wanted to buy. Well, whatever I could afford with that little bit left. Yeah. Let's say I had like £10 left after paying for all my necessities. £10 left. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll save £2. I don't know what I was saving that £2 for. And then the £8 will be for me to spend on whatever I wanted. Right? So if I wanted to dye my hair different color, I'll go and buy that. If I wanted to eat whatever food that I really wanted to eat, I'll go and buy it. If that £8 could afford shoes, I'll go and buy shoes that I wanted. Not because I didn't have shoes, I had shoes. But if I walked in the shop and I saw shoes that I really liked, obviously £8 would not buy shoes. Not in London, at least back then. But I'm just saying as an example. So that's how I learned how to budget and save. And so that's how I lived my life for those 3 years I was studying at university in London. And I kept saving a little bit. So after 3 years, it built up. And I never touched that saving because I didn't know what I was saving for. I was just saving. And then in my 3rd year of university, I realized, actually, now I know what I'm saving for. When I started saving, I didn't know what I was saving for. But now I know, because after 2 years, because then how old was I? When I started university, I was 18. Now I'm 20. And going in my 3rd year, well, I'll be 21. And so obviously I've grown a little bit. Yeah. So my maturity has grown a little bit as well. So now I realize it's like a thing. I've got an idea now in my head. Oh, now I know what I'm saving for. Because I kept wondering, what am I saving for? I want to save. There was this urge in my heart saying, just put some money away. Put some money away. Save. Because I've heard people saying, save. But I wouldn't know what I was saving for until 2 years later. And then I realized, now I know what I'm saving for, because when I was at university, I wasn't even working. I was just studying, right? Because I was so scared. I kept thinking, oh my gosh, I'm studying. I want to get really good grades. So I need to put the time into revising, into studying, into reading, and make sure I get those good grades. So I was thinking to myself, if I study and work at the same time, like work part-time and then study full-time, I kept thinking to myself, if I combine those two, I don't think I'll have enough time to study. And because I won't have enough time to study, and I'll also be too tired. Even when I have time to study, I'll be really tired, and I won't be able to study as well, and I will be wanting to sleep more instead of studying. So that will definitely interrupt my education. If I work and study at the same time, it will definitely interrupt my education, because I saw some of my some of my friends who we attended the same lectures and stuff like that, they had to work as well as study, and I could see how that was affecting them. They were always tired, they were always stressed, um they were always out of money. Their lives seemed very messy, but that's their life. They had to do it, they had no choice, you know what I mean? So I saw that. Thank God I had the option not to work, so which I'm really grateful for. So it was a privilege for me, and so I chose not to work, and I just studied full time. So I was very grateful. Anyway, so that's why I didn't work, but I kept saving the little money I had. And then, like I said, after 2 years later, I realized, okay, I'm saving because when I finish this university, it's not gonna last forever. The money that the government was helping me with to pay for my living costs will end. They won't keep paying me because my studies would have ended, right? And that money will stop coming. Um, so then this savings, this little bit I'm saving for, that will help me. Um, that will help me because when I finish university, I'll go back to where I used to live. I'll leave London and I'll go back. Unless I get a good job in London, then I'll stay, right? Because of the job. But if I don't, then I'll move back to where I was living outside London. And then I'll need this money until I get a job, because I'll then start be looking for jobs and stuff like that, graduate jobs. So this little bit of money will help me because I don't want to be asking my family for money. I don't like asking. So that money will help me until I get myself a graduate job. So yes, I knew. So I continued saving, I continued spending, and life was great. And I continued working really hard. 3 years passed. 3 years went by. Graduated. And then I looked for jobs. I really looked for graduate jobs in London, and I went to few interviews, but I wasn't successful. So that was a very stressful time for me because I wanted to get employed straight away as soon as I graduated, because I wanted money. I wanted to start making money. But it didn't work. It didn't happen. So I had to move out of London. I left London, went back to where I to live with my family outside London, and obviously I was jobless for a good year. Spent 1 year without a job, and I kept applying, kept looking for work. Obviously, it wasn't until a year later when I finally got a job. But during that year, I literally was, obviously because I lived at home, I didn't pay rent or bills, and I was being fed, of course. But there will be these other things that, because I was now a 21-year-old, going to 22 years old. And I didn't want to ask my family for little things like, oh, I need makeup, I need perfume, you know, stuff like that. I didn't want to ask them for money because they're already doing a lot for me. They're feeding me, they're housing me, That would be rude, like overstepping, asking for money, even if they're my family. I just felt like, no, I should get a job by now. I'm an adult. So I used my savings to cover those little costs for myself. And I was grateful that I could save, and I did save, because I could have spent it all and not saved anything, and then it'd be weird for me, So yeah, that's what I used that saving for. Then that's when I realized, yeah, it's actually important to save. From that moment, I learned a lesson. My soul is saved. If you have any money left after spending, even whatever amount it is you have left after you're spending for your necessities, bills and food and whatever, even if it's £1 you have left, right? That £1 is like just there. Save it. Because you need it. You never know when you need it. Okay. What else? Yeah, so then I got a job, and then my first pay, I told myself, my first pay, I would just spend that money on myself, like every single penny. Whatever I get paid that first month, I would spend all of it on myself. Like literally every single penny. I'll spend it on myself. I'll buy whatever I want and I will enjoy that. And then my second pay, and then I'll start thinking about, budgeting and all that. So I did that. First pay, I looked at the money, I was like, wow. And then I was like, I want this, I want that, I want to buy this, I want to buy that. And I literally spoiled myself. I bought everything I wanted. And I spent a whole amount of money and I was enjoying it. I loved it. And it was gone. Right? It was gone. Right. So second month got paid. I was like, no, I'm not doing that again. That was only a one-off. Not doing that again. So what did I do then? My second month of pay. Because I was living at home. I wasn't paying rent. I wasn't paying bills. My family didn't want me to pay rent or bills. So they were very kind. So they covered everything, which meant I had all that money for myself. And I was like, this is sweet. Because I got used to paying rent and bills in my way, paying my way when I was at university. I got used to that. So I already learned that. So my family didn't feel the need to teach me that because I've already done it for 3 years by myself. And I never asked them for any money throughout the whole 3 years. I lived in London by myself, studying, and I managed money really responsibly. So they knew I was fine. They knew I could manage my own money and I wouldn't be reckless. So they didn't feel the need to ask me for rent or anything like that. Although I was offered, I wanted to help. And they said no. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to save it. I remember going to the bank and telling them I want to open a savings account. And they were very excited. I was like, ooh, you don't know me. Why are you excited? And they said, ooh, what are you saving for? What are you going to save for? And I was like, I don't know. I literally did not know how to answer that question. I didn't know what I was saving for. All I knew was because people say save, save, save. And I had a little bit of experience, about saving money. So I was like, I just want to have a savings account. I just want to put money in there. That's it. Now that I have a job. And I literally looked at the lady at the bank who asked me, what are you saving for? She was very excited. And I was excited with it. And then when she asked me that question, what are you saving for? I was like, I paused. I was like, I don't know. And she was like, really? I said, no, I don't know what I'm saving for. Like, then why are you saving? It was like, I don't know. I'm just saving. She was like, okay, no problem. So she opened the account. Actually, I opened this account, a savings account, before I got employed, before I had a job, when I was earning zero every month because I wasn't working, right? And then again, I didn't know what I was saving for. But the account was there, it was opened, and nothing was going into it because I didn't have any money. But it was just there. But anyway, then so my second salary from a job, and I wasn't getting paid that much because it wasn't a graduate job. Well, it was promising to turn into a graduate job. But anyway, I don't remember what I did with the second pay and third pay and so on. But the most important thing here, what I really want to stress on this video is it's so important to teach kids and young people about money, about the reality of money, because adults know what it's like financially. Like, life is hard, life is a struggle. It's not easy financially. Like, money is hard to come by. You have to work for it. You have to work for your money, right? If you're gonna have money, and then once you have the money, because you work so hard to have your money, and once you have it, you need to be smart on how to manage it. Because if you just waste it, yes, of course it's gonna go, and it's gonna go fast, and you're gonna enjoy spending it. But then, you know, if you don't have anything saved when you actually in need of money and you don't have anything, that's when reality check will set in. Reality check will set in, and you will be sorry. You will see, you think, when I was making money, I wish I saved some of it, because now you don't have money. And when you had money, you didn't save, you just kept spending, 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 spending. And now you don't have it. It's gone, right? But obviously, it's hard to save. I can't save because bills take everything. Money comes in and money goes. Not because I'm being reckless with money. And this is unfortunately the reality of most people. Money comes like that, and then you got to pay rent or mortgage. Then you got to pay bills and everything. And then it goes. There's nothing left to save. Nothing left to save. Well, anyway, eventually I ended up getting a mortgage together with my husband. I couldn't get a mortgage by myself. I just didn't have the money to do it. And I was working and I was getting paid, but it wasn't enough to get a mortgage by myself. Although I was working towards it, but then I met my husband. He was working himself. So we combined our money, and then we managed to get a mortgage together. And we're so glad we did, because it meant our rent it became less, because before we got mortgage we were renting together when we got married. So we were renting a house, not a flat. And now looking back, our monthly pay on our mortgage is cheaper than the money we're paying on a rent when we're renting a 1-bedroom flat. So that 1-bedroom flat, the rent every month was so much. It was so much more compared to what we pay a month in our mortgage, and that's in UK. So we're glad we got ourselves a mortgage. So it's a smart move. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to share today about a little bit of finance, and I hope I come back I'll come back and share more videos about finance, because to be honest, I want this channel to be about finance. I've been wanting to share finance videos, like most of it will be like budgeting and stuff like that. Budgeting on low income. How do you do that? Because you normally budget when you don't make that much money. We don't make that much money. We make little money. But so that's why we have to budget, right? We have to budget. If you're gonna survive, we have to budget. And yeah, and obviously it's not like, yeah, that's it. Anyway, we have to budget, and I hope I come back with more videos about budgeting and ways to make use of resources you already have at hand, and instead of spending. Because sometimes you think, oh, I need to buy that. Not thinking, wait a minute, I could do this instead, and then that will solve my problem. Using resources you already have instead of spending money to buy new things. But anyway, that will be the next video. So I would like to thank you all for listening and for supporting this video. Anyone who's going to subscribe, listen, subscribe, comment, and so on. So take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.